Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. I hope everyone is doing well. We are back doing sit down videos. We've been doing vlogs for a little bit. So today I thought we would do a video on interview tips, my experience, what I've learned, and how to ace your midwifery interview. I know a lot of you are starting to submit your applications, you're sending your personal statements in, and you are getting your interviews, so it's a good time to start prepping for those. So I'm going to run through some things that I know that they will definitely ask, or that is highly likely that they will ask. The first question that you are definitely going to be asked, as in this is 100%, and if you're not asked this, you better come back to me and tell me, because I'm so sure that they're going to ask you this question. What does a midwife do? Do not just say that midwives just deliver babies or they look after babies. If that's what you think a midwife does, then you need to rethink your options. You might want to do pediatric nursing or be a neonatal nurse. They look after babies, they look after children. So what I said in my interview was that midwives provide care for women and support for women during the pregnancy, during birth, and the postnatal period. Midwives are experts in normal, low risk pregnancy and birth. So that's really important to say. They are experts in that. So they manage normality and they lead in the care of normality. When it obviously becomes high risk and complicated pregnancies, they work in a multidisciplinary team with obstetricians and others to deliver the care to the women. So it's important to say that a midwife's role is very diverse. They help with infant feeding as well. They help with postnatal period. So they do help with the care of baby, as in teaching parents how to care for baby. Do your research on that question, but those are just a few things that you can say that would really, show that you understand the role and you understand that a midwife doesn't just deliver babies. Another question that they will ask you, or they will incorporate into a question, is what transferable skills do you have to bring to the role of midwife? So in this question, you need to think about the current skills that you have, or skills that you have developed over the years that you know that will apply to the role of a midwife. So what skills does a midwife have? They are good at time management. They are organized. They take initiative. Things like, are you personable? Do you know how to relate to people? Are you good in communicating with people? All of these skills are really important for a midwife, and they are so good to mention. In your personal statement, you've probably written about this already. If you haven't watched my video on personal statements, please do go and watch it, because it's very helpful and I think it should really help you with your interview as well. And make sure you know your personal statement. Make sure you know what you wrote in there, because they would have read it. They would have invited you to the interview based off that. So they're going to know what you have written. So you need to make sure that you know what you wrote, so you can even bounce off of that and use some of the things that you wrote in there. In this answer, you also want to sneak in things about the 6 C's. Now, the 6 C's are the sort of values that the NHS really hold in high regard, and just to name them, they are care, compassion, competence, communication, courage, and commitment. So these would be so good for you to mention and just to sneak into your answers, because they will know that, oh, okay, you know about being a healthcare provider and you know how these values are really important, and to show and demonstrate that you actually have some of these skills is very good. Another question that they will probably ask, and this is dependent on the uni and how they like to do interviews. So at my interview, they asked me why I wanted to come to this specific university. So you need to do your research. I know you probably have like 4 interviews lined up, or many interviews lined up. Just make sure that you do your research on that university. You don't want to go there and they ask you, what do you like about this uni, and you have nothing to say. Like that, we're not doing that, okay? So make sure that you look at the university. How do the students rate that university? What's their student satisfaction rates? What are their ranking in the university tables? What are the facilities like? It will look really good that you've searched the university and you can grab the sort of things that you like and the things that drew you to apply. Another thing that's really good to know for your interview is that they might throw a scenario at you. they might throw a question at you where they're asking you to give them a specific example of where you've provided care or where you have demonstrated a certain skill. That can really throw you off. They asked me in my interview, give me a time where you've showed compassion or care. And I just used an example of looking after my dad when he had COVID. So things like that, for example, you can use everything in your life. Think about the times that you've showed compassion, the times that you've provided care. If you have been a healthcare professional before or you've done work experience in a health environment, then fabulous. If you haven't, then it's fine. You have an example. You just need to dig deep. You definitely do have one. Next, an important question that you should already know the answer to before you step into this interview is, why do you want to do midwifery? That is a question that no doubt they are going to ask you. Why do you want to do this course? I think in this question it's very important to be real and honest and open. If there's a specific scenario that made you get into this course, then so be it, and mention it. Use your life examples. Please don't say that because you watch One Born every minute, you think it's going to be really fun to be a midwife. So in my interview, I spoke about how, I am very interested in the care of women and women's health in general. And I also went on about how the statistic for Black and ethnic minorities, their chance of dying in childbirth is 4 times, and I really didn't like that statistic, and I wanted to contribute to the change. And just talk about what you're passionate about. Why is your passion for midwifery there? Like, why do you want to do this course? Do some research on midwifery, find out what's going on right now. There's loads going on in midwifery right now. We've had the Ockenden report. You can search things about how COVID has impacted midwifery. You can talk about the current NHS crisis, because that's a very big thing right now. And I think being real in the interview and talking about real life issues and current issues in midwifery will show that you're actually very interested, and you're very you've taken that initiative to go and do research and to know the current affairs that are happening in this field. How did you feel when you read the reports and heard about what happened? How did that inform your decision to go ahead with midwifery? Like, things like that. Just think about those things and make sure you mention them. So they might ask you, what are the pros and cons of being a midwife? That's a question that you wouldn't expect, or I certainly didn't expect, but it's a question that could come up. Some of the pros that you can mention for becoming a midwife is empowering women, being a vital role in women's health and the health of their unborn child. You can talk about how midwifery is just such a broad field, and you can go into so many different specialties, and there are so many opportunities, things like that. And for cons, you can say that midwifery can get emotionally taxing because of the things that you may encounter. You may deal with social issues like domestic violence. You might deal with bereavement issues like a stillbirth, or a baby that dies in the womb. There's things that can be emotionally taxing about the job. It's very demanding, so you can talk about things like that. Finally, I just want to give some extra tips for your interview. Make sure that you ask questions. At the end of the interview, they're probably going to ask you, do you have any questions? You need to have about 2 or 3 questions that you're ready to ask. Like, ask them about what's going on currently with midwifery. Like, how do they feel about it? Ask them about how COVID has impacted teaching. Ask them about the Ockenden report. Make sure that you don't leave there without asking a question. So yeah, those are my tips and things that are important for your interview. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe and comment, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.